everybody. So, I was kind of disappointed about the IEM replays. I was hoping there would be some Terrans who really showed some amazing games. And although there were a lot of very entertaining games to watch in terms of what exactly they consist of, like skill-wise, and how much you have to learn from them, I didn't think there was that many. So instead, I have another idea, and what I'm going to do is to examine some builds from a Terran's perspective and how that can apply to Terran players or a player overall. So the first build that I wanted to go over, and it's going to be like short too, because I don't want to go too much in depth, I just want to go over some main reasons. So hopefully I won't ramble on for a whole entire hour. So one of the games that probably has brought a lot of discussion and drama to the StarCraft community is SOS versus jjakchi. And I just want to say that SOS is amazing. He is the $100,000 man, the guy that wins the really big tournaments. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he's won more than one $100,000 tournament, because the way that he prepares for a tournament and just like how well he does is he doesn't seem to like make small mistakes like life bailings, just kind of those blunders that might come while you're under pressure in a tournament setting. And SOS also prepares very well for the tournaments as well. So what I have here is, oh, let me just switch the screen really fast. Alright, so what I have here is the results. So SOS used the carrier build versus jjakchi in the round of 8. And so this is the round of 8, and we know that Tasia versus Life and Rogue has not played out yet, and it's SOS versus jjakchi. And so SOS is going to play either Tasia or a Zerg. So with that in mind, like, this is the build that SOS did is kind of like a how do I explain this? Kind of like a easy win, get out of jail free build. So SOS has one opportunity to do this build on this map and basically have an easy peasy win, because no one has ever seen it before and no one has any practice against it. So SOS chooses to use this build in the round of 8 versus jjakchi because jjakchi could be possibly the last Terran that SOS faces. Like, think about that. So we know that Tasia ends up playing SOS, but SOS did not know that at the time, so he chose to use this build now in the best of 5 series versus jjakchi, rather than waiting and potentially not even using it for the rest of the tournament. So that's why this kind of like sniper build was brought out versus jjakchi and in the round of 8. And like, it's a great build because it's very smartly played out and prepared, but it will only work one time. So you basically, so yeah, it is a get out of jail free card. If you're in a pickle and you want to win a series, and every game here counts at IEM because you're aiming to be the first player, like you're aiming for first place, and just like having one extra win you don't have to worry about, like one very guaranteed type win, and this strategy was one of those kinds. Like, it's just really good tournament preparation. And as we can see, as we saw SOS play versus Tasia, SOS did have a myriad of other builds that he pulled out. And like, he had like a 2-base blink all in versus Tasia that was very all in, and he did a bunch of more like macro based 2 blink builds. So he really mixed it up, and he brought his A game by being able to show us a multitude of Protoss styles. So that's one reason why I think SOS deserved to win the $100,000 tournament. And what we can learn from this is exactly like the kind of mindset that SOS brings into this tourney, which is that he prepared a bunch of builds so that he could be unpredictable, and this was one of those unpredictable builds. And it's also like a one-time use as well. So he like if you're ever gonna encounter something like this, it's probably gonna be in a tournament setting, and it's going to be basically just like used for one game in a row. Obviously, you cannot develop a solid macro strategy around this because SOS is playing extremely greedy. What he does in this game is he goes Phoenix Colossi, which is pretty normal on this map, but he gets 2 starports, which is a lot of investment into gas. And so as a result of that, we can see what he's cutting. He's cutting upgrades. He's not getting a single upgrade yet, and he's cutting gateways. He only has 2 warp gates. So that's what the price is for these 2 Phoenix production. But at the same time, it's alright because there is dead airspace over here that Phoenixes can defend against, and they can also quickly reinforce the 3rd base if it's getting under attack. So Phoenixes, that's why this build, like, it can't work on other maps, but on Alter Zim Stronghold in particular, it can be considered a much more stable build, and that's one of the reasons why people want different maps, is so they can see these kinds of strategies appear, because maps really dictate the way that you can like the different kinds of styles that you can play on each map. And even though this style isn't viable on other maps, it is viable. It would be viable on this map. So the next big point I want to talk about is SOS's hidden base. Now, he sends this Zealot here, and this Zealot's going to be patrolling all of these bases. That's its patrol line. At the same time, he's taking a hidden 4th. So SOS's plan, he's obviously planned this build out way more than jjakchi. As we can see here, jjakchi, he's playing a pretty standard game. He's getting double starport, adding more barracks. He's basically just macroing up like a regular Terran would. There's nothing strange going on with his build. And he has scouted the Phoenix Colossi with his first poke out, but he hasn't seen the double starports yet, or the fleet beacon. So jjakchi's going to scan in a little bit. Hopefully I'll be able to catch that. But in the meantime, SOS, so he takes his 4th base because he knows that his build is going to rely on carriers to win. And carriers are not effective on just 3 bases. So what SOS does is he proxies his 4th base, because that's the base you need to have. That's the most important base you need to have mining. There's a scan, so jjakchi knows exactly what SOS is doing. And it just looks like a regular Phoenix Colossi build. It doesn't look weird or anything, because Phoenix Colossi, once again, is a pretty common build on this map. So, anyways, this 4th base, so that's why SOS decides to take this 4th base as a proxy. And then he also, what I like about his build, like, it's just so well planned out that it deserves credit whether you're Protoss, Zerg, or Terran. Like, so he has 4 cannons here, he has 3 sentries, and he has 2 colossi. Now and 2 warp gates, and he has 1 ground upgrade. Cool. Not that much. jjakchi, on the other hand, he has +1 attack. He's gonna have 3 upgrades, very important upgrades, finishing in less than a minute, and he's gonna be pushing across the map really soon with a very standard poke. Now, if jjakchi knew what SOS was doing, and he might have given the fact that there's 2 stargates, he could make the assumption that because there are 2 stargates, that the gateway army is gonna be small as a result of that, or like something, because SOS is gonna have to cut something in order to be able to pull off this build. And as we see here, he's cutting a lot of gateway units for this extra starport production. So like, if jjakchi moved across the map right now and traded, like, it wouldn't even have to be a good trade, but if he, like, instead of getting sidetracked by the phoenixes, which is really good by SOS to buy time, but if he, like, went across the map and he traded a bunch of these sentries, then SOS wouldn't even have enough gateways to warp in 3 more sentries. So the next round of attack would do a lot more damage. that's like a timing you can do to exploit the fact that SOS is being very greedy. This fourth base was taken at about 12 minutes, and SOS knows this, and that's why he's making a bunch of cannons. And this is also very nice because like these cannons, they cover both sides. Like you're gonna have to fight versus the cannons if you want to get close to the third. So that's a very nice touch by SOS, and as we can see here, he's very gas starved right now, so he can afford those cannons as well. And I think they're better than Zealots because they just do more damage, and they also like very helpful tanking things, so that the Colossus and the Sentries can, like, it forces the Terran to deal with the cannons, and then the Sentries can force field you, and the Colossi just do a bunch of damage because you can't really kill them. And it's also really good anti-air defense for the Vikings as well. So jjakchi's push, he was out on the map at almost 15 minutes, but it took him another minute and a half to get to this point. And right now, it's kind of too late. He's here at 16 minutes and 30 seconds, and SOS is already maxed out. Granted, he has a lot of probes, but his army, he still has almost a 200 army value for this stage of the game. So jjakchi has already missed his timing. And then on top of that, jjakchi decides to attack into here. I don't know why. He should have done a two-pronged attack if he was going to try to attack in the first place. But because SOS, like, jjakchi scans, he sees all the Sanctuary and their energies. He's going to try to get EMPs off. He doesn't. And this is also what helps the cannons. Like, you have to engage the cannons from either direction, so that's maybe why he didn't want to flank. And SOS, 4 perfect force fields, ends up being able to clean this up super easily. So that was one of jjakchi's big mistakes. But it was also a mistake that was allowed to be made because of what SOS was doing. jjakchi was kind of, like, I think he thought he was going to be able to win because he saw the 2 star ports, and so he knew there was going to be a lot of phoenixes, so that's why he kind of delayed his push a bit. But SOS, this 4th base, it's just so... It's so smart, and no one expects a proxy 4th base as well. So another thing that he could have done was obviously send a scouting marine over here, one that covered that part of the map, and then another one that covered this part of the map. We're probably going to be seeing a lot more Terrans do that later on. And so now SOS, with his sniper build, he's in a great position. He wanted that kind of a fight because he knew that he would be able to win it, especially a Terran trying to break into all of this without the proper army composition. It just can't be done. And now jjakchi, he's in a great spot because, like, he baited jjakchi to attack into this, and as a result, he's, like, normally he'd be able to take his 4th now, but he already has a 4th up, so now he's going to be able to take his 5th up with even less pressure available. And these phoenixes, they're like used, they start moving across the map when carriers come out, and when SOS has enough cannons over here to defend and move his army, like position it in case a drop comes here, and then to move it there. So he's like starting to use his phoenixes now that he doesn't need them for drop defense, which is pretty cool to switch their usage. It's like you don't always see them patrolling over here. Like, now they're just on the other side of the map being annoying. SOS wants to do as much damage as possible because he doesn't need these phoenixes anymore. He's replacing them for carriers. Wow, carriers take such a long time to build. I really think we would see a lot more carriers if their build time was not 120 seconds, because Tempests they're only 60 seconds, Void Rays are 60 seconds, Oracles are 50 seconds, carriers 120 seconds. Wow. Alright, so now SOS is in a good lead, and it's all because he was able to take a hidden 4th base, and that allows him to, like, get up to 5 bases to be able to produce these carriers en masse and to produce High Templar. If he was just on 4 bases, this would not be possible. But those hidden bases do play a significant role in being able to sustain such an army. And so jjakchi, he thinks this is the fourth base. It's a shame that jjakchi never scouted the fourth base, but at the same time, he has little reason to believe that SOS has taken a fourth base as well, because he sees a bunch of cannons, so he thinks that SOS probably invested a lot of his minerals into static defense instead of taking a fourth base. But like, it's just a really hard decision to make by jjakchi to know whether SOS actually took a hidden base or not, and it probably doesn't get done to him very often, if not at all. But after this game, I'm sure we'll see a lot more Terrans patrol Marines across the minimap, because that's the easiest way to stop a hidden base. And now jjakchi, he doesn't know what to build against these carriers, and he also thinks that SOS is on 3 bases, so he thinks he's ahead by a base already, because he has 4 bases mining, 4, and he already has his 5th base going up. So that's why he keeps, like, he's adding 2 starports because he knows there's carriers now, but he's kind of just confused at what to build. As we can see for the rest of the game, he's just going to be building Marines, Vikings, Medevacs, and Ghosts, and that's... we know that it's not the best unit comp to build against carriers. I think the best would be either Ravens and Battle Cruisers, because Battle Cruisers Yamato Cannon, they can destroy a carrier, like Battle Cruiser Ghost even, so that the High Templar get neutralized as well. But if you EMP a carrier and then you Yamato Cannon it, you'll be able to kill it, I'm pretty sure. Because Yamato is such a big nuke. So jjakchi here, this is good by him to deny what he thinks is the 4th base, and if that was actually the 4th base, he would be in a really good position still. But SOS, he's just able to take another base over there, which is pretty nice by him. So as we can see here, his unit composition is not the best. I mean, and to be fair, this is SOS's like sniper build, his free win, get out of jail free card. So this is like part of the effect that one of those builds has. So let's say, for example, as a Terran, you have this really cool build that catches everyone off guard on ladder, but if they know it's coming a second time, they'll be able to defend it. This is what that build is. So it's just really, it just shows how experienced SOS is at handling tournaments, and that's why he was in fact able to win BlizzCon and IM Katowice, because of his tournament preparation. And now jjakchi's pretty much dead, as expected, and this as a result, this was also a very entertaining game to watch, and I'm sure it'll be one of the highlights of 2014, seeing carriers used in a professional game, and by none other than the person who ends up winning the tournament as well. So yeah, I just wanted to go over a quick recap of this game because I thought it was a cool game that people might want to know more about. I won't even wait for the GG part. So hopefully you guys understand a little bit more of SOS's reasoning behind this build and how it can also apply to Terran players and Zerg players as well. Because if you have this one get out of jail free card, then it's just one less win you're gonna have to worry, or one less game that you're gonna have to worry about, because it's just surprise factor. It's just really good. I can't like stress this enough how great it is that SOS was able to prepare a build like this, and how it reflects on his tournament preparation practice. So before I repeat that like a couple more times, I'm just gonna end it here. Alright, hope you guys learned something.